I was in the mood to do another ranking video, so today we're going to rank my top 10 favorite DC Finest and Marvel Epic collections. So let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geek City. If you are new to the world of comics and you don't know what I'm talking about, let me quickly explain to you kind of what DC Finest and Marvel Epic collections are. So I'm going to use this one as an example because it's not on my list, so it's not spoiling anything. But this is an example of an Epic collection. So this is X-Men Volume 1, Children of the Atom. DC Finest Marvel Epic collections. Basically what they are these big books that collect a whole bunch of source material. They normally start with number 1. It's like volume 1 here. They kind of just collect random periods. They're great books for like reading orders and just filling out that history. They're great. I love them a lot. I don't own a huge amount. I have like 14, something like that. And I want to continue to grow that collection. So DC Finest, Marvel Epic Collection has been out for a decade, more than a decade at this point. DC Finest just started like a year or two ago, so they haven't released as many, so I only own 4. So most of this is Marvel Epic Collections, but all 4 of my DC Finest are on this list because they're all really good. So just wanted to show this as an example. This is not on the list, but this is kind of what the format is, and you'll see more of them when we talk about that. Make sure to let me know in the comment section if you collect this type of these type of books. Let me know what your top 10 are, and let's get straight into this. Starting off with number 10 here. This is Fantastic Four, the world's greatest comic magazine. This is volume 1. So this collects material from 1961 to 1963. This collects Fantastic Four issue 1 through 18. It's written by Stan Lee, and you got artwork by Jack Kirby. So this is the original Fantastic Four stuff. I didn't know if I'd put this on my list, but after the movie, I felt like including it. I've just been in a big Fantastic Four mood, so, you know, the classic stuff. It's very outdated, obviously, but there's, it's still fun to read this classic material, even if it is kind of, it's very outdated in the style of writing and the pacing and everything. I still felt like I need to include this one because I've just been in a huge Fantastic Four mood, and this is Marvel's first family, like their first real team-up book, really, because this was before the Avengers, so you love to see that. So, number 9, this was the first Epic collection that I ever bought on my own. Everything before this, I believe, was gifts. This was one I bought on my own, and that is Black Panther, Panther's Rage. This is volume 1. It collects material from 1966 to 1976, because there's a big gap in this one. So this collects Fantastic Four 52 through 53, because that is Black Panther's first appearance. And then you get Jungle Action 6 through 24. So I found this when I went to Florida. They had this one. They had Hulk as well, but I felt like reading something a little different. I don't own any Black Panther other than this one. This is an older Epic collection. But it was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed this stuff in here because most of this stuff is the 70s, so it's a little more updated. You got Killmonger in here, so if you're a fan of the film, this stuff is going to be right up your alley. I really enjoyed this one a lot. So this was the first one that I bought on my own, and I thought it was really good. And then we have number 8. This is a DC Finest book, and that is Superman, the First Superhero. This collects material from 1938, 1939, and 1940. It collects Action Comics 1 through 25, Superman 1 through 5, and New York World's Fair Comics issue 1. So this is like the oldest material in this whole list, because this is 1938 to 1940. Like, this is the true golden age of comic books right here. This was the first real comic book superhero, obviously, Superman. And this was one of my first DC Finest books that I ever got. Obviously, it's really outdated, but I've read this stuff before. The Superman stuff. I've read a couple of these issues. It's fun to read. It's, again, really outdated. But out of all the older Golden Age books that I've read, this one wasn't that bad compared to a lot of them. Like, this one I found to be pretty easy to read. And I love Superman, obviously. So this was one I knew I had to pick up, even if I'm not going to be reading this stuff a lot because it's so outdated. I still want to own this classic stuff. So there's that. All right, next up. And I promise not all of these are volume 1s. This is the last volume 1, and then everything else is other stuff. So this is Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. Volume 1. This collects material from 1964 to 1966. It collects Daredevil 1 through 21. Daredevil is my favorite Marvel character. He's probably my second favorite superhero of all time. One of them, definitely top 5. I don't know where I'd rank him on that, but I mean, this collects his first appearances. You got stuff from Stanley, and all of that classic stuff. You get introduced to Matt Murdock, Daredevil, Karen Page, Foggy Nelson, and yes, again, it's the '60s, so it's a little outdated, but I mean, it's still fun to read this stuff. And Daredevil's one of my favorite characters. So characters like, characters that I love, like Batman, Superman, Daredevil, Wonder Woman, I still want to own this classic stuff, even if I'm not going to be reading it a lot. I still feel like I need to own it. So this is another one. All right, now everything on to this point is more modern work. So number 6, we have Teen Titans, The Judas Contract. This is, what is considered Teen Titans' best story. And confession time, this was my first time ever reading it. I haven't read a lot of Teen Titans. I owned the New Teen Titans Omnibus Volume 1. I don't own anything else. So I got this one. So this is the Judas Contract story. So this is years 1983 to 1984. It collects Teen Titans, the New Teen Titans 33 through 40, the New Teen Titans Annual 2, Tales of the Teen Titans 41 through 47, Tales of the Teen Titans Annual 4, Action Comics 546, Batman and the Outsiders Issue 5, Vigilante Issue 3, and pages from World's Finest Comics 300. So this is that classic, iconic story featuring Tara, Deathstroke, where basically Tara is kind of working for Deathstroke, spying on the team. He's able to get their weaknesses and uses that to his advantage. So you get that classic story, but you also get stuff with Brother Blood in here. You also get a really fun fight with Vigilante. If you watch the Peacemaker show, then you know what I'm talking about. There's a couple issues with him in here. It has his first appearance, I believe, and then it has some stuff from his miniseries. You also get to learn more about Donna Troy, her relationship, because she has a fiance at this point, I believe. And then you learn more about her. So although the Judas Contract story is only 3 issues, a lot of this stuff is really good. Like, this is my first time reading a lot of this stuff, and it's really good. Even the stuff that is not connected to that one story, all of the stuff is a great read. But it's also from Marv Wolfman and George Perez, so you know you're going to get a good story. All right, next up, number 5, another DC Finest book. We have Wonder Woman, Origins and Omens by Gail Simone. I'm a huge Wonder Woman fan. I love Wonder Woman. One of my favorites. Has always been one of my favorites, but admittedly, I don't own a lot of her stuff. I have George Perez, the Omnibus, Volume 1, which is the classic stuff. And then I also own the Golden Age Omnibus. That thing cost me $20, so it was a steal. And then when we look at my trade paperbacks, I have Wonder Woman Rebirth Volume 1, Tom King's new run, and then Earth 1. But I didn't own a lot, and they released, DC Finest. And I heard this was one of the best runs. Gail Simone's run, I have heard fantastic things about. So they released this DC Finest. So I got it for Christmas. So glad to finally own this stuff. And it did not disappoint. This has, I believe, my favorite Wonder Woman story of all time, The Circle. It involves neo-Nazis, giant magic gorillas, and then it has these group of Amazonians who believe that Diana Prince should not be, the true representation of the Amazonians. Like, they believe that she's a curse, and they've been locked up. But then that fight with the neo-Nazis unlocks them, and it's this whole thing. That's definitely my favorite story. It's like 4 issues. But there's a lot of great stuff in here. This has the Power Girl crossover. That was a lot of fun. And I believe that one's written by Jeff Johns, right? So this is from years 2007, 2008, 2009. And it collects Wonder Woman, Volume 3, 14 through 35. Outsiders, 5 of a Kind, Wonder Woman, Grace, Issue 1, and Brave and the Bold, Issue 7. So you're getting a lot of material in here. Great artwork, very 2000s artwork, and one of the best stories. I think Gail Simone really understands Wonder Woman. But also, what I appreciate about this book, it really ties into a lot of the Amazonian stuff, like the actual Amazonian lore, which a lot of stuff that I've read doesn't really do a good job of that. But I mean, this is up there with George Perez on that level of story. So I really enjoyed this one. Next up, at number 4, The Amazing Spider-Man: Kraven's Last Hunt. This is volume 17 of The Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collections. It's from years 1986 to 1987. It collects Amazing Spider-Man 289 through 294, and Annual 20 through 21, Spider-Man vs. Wolverine, Web of Spider-Man 29 through 32, and Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man 131 through 132. This is Kraven's Last Hunt. Is probably my favorite single Spider-Man story. My favorite Spider-Man comic book of all time is Ultimate Spider-Man, but as a single Spider-Man story arc, Kraven's Last Hunt is like the best. The reason this isn't higher is because there's a lot of just like random Spectacular Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man issues in here that are just kind of whatever. But this collects the reason it's that's kind of the reason it's not like number one. But at the end of the day, this still collects Kraven's Last Hunt, which in and of itself is the greatest Spider-Man story of all time. But it also, right before that, collects the marriage. Peter and MJ get married. So that's another great story. So you have that marriage where they're like, oh, we're moving in. Everything's going to be great and happy. And then literally right after that, you get Kraven's Last Hunt, which is probably one of the darkest Spider-Man stories of all time where I'm not going to reveal too much, but Peter is buried alive and there's rats and creatures in the sewers and Kraven's Spider-Man, and it's this whole thing. It's definitely the best Spider-Man story of all time. So although there's a lot of filler in here, this collects 2 of some of the best Spider-Man stories of all time. So even with all that filler, this still needed to be on the list. All right, number 3, my favorite X-Men story of all time, my favorite X-Men run, and that is Astonishing X-Men Volume 1. This is a modern epic collection, and this is not the last modern epic collection you're going to see. This collects stuff from 2004 to 2005. It's written by Joss Whedon. This is also the thinnest book on this list. This is very thin. It only collects like 13 issues. I wonder why they made it so thin. I feel like they could have added like one other story arc in here. I feel like that's kind of dumb why they made it so thin, but whatever, it's fine. But I loved this book. This is my first time reading this. I read it on an ebook, I believe, like years ago, but I don't remember much about it. But this was my first real time reading it. And I loved it. Fantastic artwork from an artist that recently passed away, John Cassidy. Rest in peace. And then it has Joss Whedon, who's writing. Obviously, Joss Whedon, as a person, very controversial, but he's a great writer. And that shows in this book right here. So this is definitely my favorite X-Men story of all time. It takes place right after Grant Morrison's run, which is also great. And that is also collected in Epic Collections, but I own the omnibus. But the omnibus for Astonishing X-Men has been out of print for a while, so I'm glad we have another way to collect it. And I guess at some point I'll get volume 2 of this, because I really did like it. And then we have, at number 2, Daredevil, Modern Epic Collection, Volume 2. This is the start of the Brian Michael Bendis run. Volume 1, I believe, is the Kevin Smith stuff, I'm pretty sure. I believe, because that's Daredevil 1 through 15, yeah. But that's not, they haven't released that yet as a Epic Collection. So, but this collects stuff from 2004, 2000 through 2002. And Brian Michael Bendis is one of my favorite writers. I've heard great things about this run. It did not disappoint. This has my favorite Daredevil story of all time. Let me find it. I can talk to y'all about it. I forget the name of it. And I want Playing to the Camera, I believe is what it's called. Let me see. Yes, I believe it's called Playing to the Camera. So, what I love about this story, this one specific story, and we'll talk about the rest of the book, but Playing to the Camera is like 5 issues. And basically what it is Daredevil has caused some like public, destruction, and this dude wants to sue Daredevil. And you want to know who's his lawyer? Matt Murdock. So now Matt Murdock has to sue himself, like he has to be the lawyer against himself. Great story, and the way that the problem is solved by having them both show up in court is really fun, and it's my favorite Daredevil story of all time, or one of them. I don't know. Man Without Fear, the miniseries is really good, but I don't know. It's definitely top 3. Great artwork. This also has this one story in here with Kingpin's death and this like crime family, and Vanessa gets revenge, and it's this great story. I loved the stuff. And I want to get volume 3 because that has like Bullseye getting the scar and all that, and I've heard that's great, so I need to get the rest of that. But number 1, my favorite out of all of this stuff is, without a doubt, hold on, these are falling over. 1 second. My favorite out of all of these books has got to be DC Finest, Batman Year 1 and Year 2. This collects material from 1986 to 1987. I got it for my birthday. Or was it Christmas? I'm trying to remember. It was one of the two. No, it was my birthday. Okay. But anyway, um, this was insane. How great this book is. Obviously, I knew it was gonna be good because it had Batman Year One, which that alone is great. It has Batman Year Two. Batman Year Two is not very good, but it's still number one. You wanna know why? Because this has some of the best Batman stories of all time. Not even talking about Batman Year One. Batman Year One is great. Obviously, it's the best Batman solo comic of all time, right? But this has so much other great stuff in here that is so good that I wish more people would talk about. It just really shows how great Batman was in a place in the 80s, even without Batman Year One and Dark Knight Returns. This has the introduction of Magpie. She's a really fun character, very kooky, very 80s. This also has another one of my favorite Batman stories, Second Chances, which is basically how they reintroduced Jason Todd after the Crisis relaunch. So that's a great story. It has like the orphanage, that evil orphanage, and so that's how Jason Todd's brought in. You get a story with Two-Face in here, and then again, so you got Batman Year One, the reintroduction of Jason Todd and Magpie, a really fun Penguin story. Like this just has so much great stuff in it. Even though Year Two sucks, this is so good, and this is definitely my favorite book that I own from the Epic Collections or the DC Finest. So that's my list. And let me know in the comment section, what would you put? I again want to thank you all so much for 1,000 subscribers. That means the world to me. Make sure to let me know in the comment section what are your favorites. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you enjoyed. And I'm really close to getting monetized. I really want to get there so that I can upgrade the quality of the channel. So if you would like to help, please consider. I need to get my watch time hours up because I now have 1,000 subscribers, or one step closer. I need to get my watch time hours up in order to be monetized. And so if you want to help with that, just continue to watch the videos. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you all so much. And as always, stay geeky.